Why, hello there, how are you today? Awesome Soul here, and welcome back to some more Robocraft news. This time we're catching up with what's going on Twitter, as well as a few forum happenings, which we don't cover too often around here. Though, first off, we will go over what's going on with Twitter. This one from the official Robocraft account. And it's kind of just a quick little update here. This was posted on December the 6th. So in response to somebody asking about Reconnect, they respond with, "No problem. Mark the coder is working hard on Reconnect, and we hope to have a clear release date soon. There's still some work to be done and test thoroughly. We will keep you in the loop." Pretty self-explanatory there. Not a huge amount of news, obviously, but it is a big feature that a lot of people want, so I continue to cover it. Next, we move on to Cluely, who, if you somehow have been living under a rock, is now a developer for Robocraft. And he says, "The people have spoken. Blink, as in the module, shall have some more love this week." Great feedback. Now this tweet was obviously in reference to the update that we covered a couple videos back. And I did see a lot of people saying that Blink wasn't too fantastic, and then some other people saying it was kind of okay. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which direction Cluely and the rest of the team decide to take Blink in. And as another little update to something that's kind of ongoing within FreeGem, and that would be custom maps. What exactly are happening with them? Well, still from Cluely, he says, "Currently waiting for certain things to happen before pushing this a bit more. Most of it is from feedback and tests we've made. Can't promise it will be soon though. Lots to do currently." So, as to be expected, it's not going to happen that soon. Though it's still good to know that we will be seeing it at some point, anyway. I'm curious, how many of you out there are still actually interested in this brand new map feature? And for those not in the loop, it's not an in-game map editor, but using the Unity engine, you can make your own maps and then hand them over to FreeGem, and then from there, they'll do whatever they need to do to get it into the game, assuming they like the map. Next up, Mark Simmons has some news for us around Robocraft Infinity. So he says, Robocraft Infinity for Xbox One was submitted to certification yesterday for betas. If it passes, we will be able to start planning our beta tests. So very nice news there for those interested in Robocraft Infinity. And just a reminder, the last known date that we have, I believe, was Q1 of 2018. So that basically means the first 3 months. We'll be seeing it sometime around there. Though that is actually a fairly wide time frame. So as time goes on, we'll probably see this narrow a little bit, especially if they get the certification that they're looking for. Now, quickly jumping over to the forums, because there is some good information here. So, back from Cluely again. This was in response to somebody asking if the sprinter legs could get a bit of an update. And the response to this is Cluely saying, "I have some changes going for sprinter legs soon. Thanks for the feedback, all noted." Now keep in mind though the wording of this. Cluely says that he has some changes for sprinter legs. Not necessarily sure if that has been discussed with the team at large, but at the very least, at least someone on the team is thinking about sprinter legs. Because yeah, as much as I love them, they certainly do have their problems. There's that weird glitch, or maybe it's not a glitch, of where you would jump and then your legs would be cemented to the ground, basically. Before then, it would give you a slight deceleration, but then you would keep moving. Nowadays, though, it's just a complete halt of movement. Not only that, they also go far too slow when crouching, which they didn't used to do before. And finally, their off-roading capabilities are less than desirable, shall we say. If you back up into a wall, you don't really bump into the wall. Your bot tries to climb and flip over the wall, spinning you out and doing weird, crazy maneuvers, which is pretty much a death sentence if you've got certain weapon layouts on your robot. And you kind of spin in one direction where the gun can't face, then you're kind of dead. Or at least very well crippled, and the enemy has a huge advantage. But yes, anyways, I could talk for quite a while about sprinter legs, but those are the main points. Though when I say talk more about sprinter legs, I mean in a positive light, because the rest of them are pretty good. They are still a fairly solid part, albeit with a few downsides. Next up, from Cluely again, and this thread is discussing the health boost feature and how it might be a little bit too overpowered. So, Cluely's response to this is, We are currently looking at this issue, but we are discussing another approach before we nerf anything. My biggest problem with changing the health boost system is that tanks will become trash tier. Bringing a glass cannon or a tank should be a choice in my opinion. We'll of course share this info, obviously, as time goes on. Again, keep in mind, these are just basic ideas that they're looking into. That's always something you need to keep in mind with this. It's not necessarily guaranteed that they're actually going to fix this thing, or fix it soon. They might fix it, but maybe a couple months down the line, because, you know, they're working on Reconnect, which I'm sure takes a lot of time to do, among other things. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. I haven't really heard too many people complain about the health boost system. At least not as much as it used to be complained about. So what are your thoughts on it as it currently stands? Is it too powerful, or is it not powerful enough? Or is it powerful in some areas but not powerful in other areas? And finally, we come to one that is talking about camera relative tilt and how it might be a little bit too powerful. A lot of the responses there seem to say that camera relative tilt should kind of be gone. But after I read this out, I'm curious what your opinions are on it. So, Dan, the support jammer, responds by saying, "We agree that the camera relative tilt isn't great and should either be removed or have restrictions put in place. I agree with people saying that having tilt has caused some issues with other parts that wouldn't have happened without it. However, I still think it has its place. The argument, if you don't like it, don't use it, doesn't work in case where you have a good option and then a clearly superior option. Sure, I'll just choose the bad option," he says sarcastically. He continues, "I think removing it is the extreme option, and there are some other things we want to try first. For example, we could make sure that the tilt isn't possible beyond 15 degrees, 30 degrees, or 45 degrees up and down." Of course, those just being examples he threw together. Other options would be to change the thrusters so they have a bigger boost, but have a wind-up time. Whatever we choose, it's going to take some time as we're looking at quite a few changes coming next year. But in the meantime, let me know your opinion of any of the above ideas or any other ideas you may have. Interesting note here, he says, Robocraft Infinity doesn't have relative tilt. However, that's more to do with streamlining the game than anything else. And obviously, on PC, we want to give more options to players rather than less. And continuing from there, he responds to somebody asking about the thrusters having a bigger boost to wind-up time possibility by saying, "It wouldn't be a nerf, just a change, improving the top speed of them while giving them a wind-up time. So a buff, but also a nerf, which kind of evens out. This is to stop the twitchy and overpowerness accuracy of the tiny drones." Again, to reiterate though, it's just a suggestion, there's no need to react over it. Though personally, I do think that this kind of change would be really good. It would get rid of drones once and for all. And I mean, propellers have this thing, and propellers are basically just much bigger thrusters that can go bi-directional instead of unidirectional. But what are your opinions on this though? As there is quite a bit here, I'm curious to know what you think of drones and what method you would go about using to fix them, especially in regards to the whole camera relative tilt option. And with that, that brings today's episode for a close. Thank you all so very much for watching and your continued support. I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you all so very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.